Now that our system is finished for our RFL, we need now to make a control system for the animator to access this. Well, why do we need that in the first place? Well, first of all, this heel joint has translation values on it. And there's no way of resetting these. If I zero this out, the whole character will go back to the origin. There's no way of getting rid of these. So we need to make controls to have access or interface to these different joints. So to start off with is we're going to create a series of control icons on this podcast, and then we're going to lead on to actually connecting those together, parenting them properly, and then connecting them into our system. So to start off with here is we need a control for both the heel, for the leg, and for the knee. So let's go and create a box or some type of circle or something for that control for the foot. So we need a cube. So let's go and do that. So let's say create a NURBS, like we'll say a polygon cube, and then we're going to snap. We're going to create a CV curve around it. So just kind of boom, boom. Now, if you already have this done, okay, and I'm almost done. Just snap around the outside. Okay, I don't need the cube anymore. Okay, so we got our box for our foot. I'm actually going to, let's scale this in, scale it down, translate it over so it's around the foot. Now, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but I do want it to be. Go. There. I definitely know it controls the foot now. And I will need to move the pivot point up to the ankle because this is going to be for the whole foot. Okay. So this is going to be our left foot icon. We'll freeze transforms. Delete history. Okay. And we'll need some type of arrow, and I have an arrow already built. So let's do this 90 degrees. And we'll snap it to the knee. There we go. Translate it away and scale it down. And there are better ways of actually getting its exact position on this. And we'll have some extra videos for that. Right now, we're just kind of getting into the direct position, freezing transforms. So this is our left knee icon. Okay. And we'll make sure the history is deleted on that as well. Okay. So those are our ball, and that's our leg and our knee control. The next ones are going to be for the actual controls here. Now, we want to have, because we want to be able to animate each one of these joint systems here, these RFLs. So for each one of those, we're going to need a control. So I'm going to create a circle. Like this, a NURB circle. And in this case, if I make this control smaller, and then I snap it on top of the heel, we'll notice that it's not a really good control for this. You know, maybe if I rotate it up like this, you know, make sure it's straight, that might work. But this is what I like to do for these type of controls. Let's say I make this 90 degrees, like that. And then I kind of take every other vert, because circles don't really show motion very well when you're rotating them around their center axis like this, around, in this case, around the y-axis. So if I like scale these in, I get this type of little star. I'm going to go back into my object mode. Now you see when I rotate this around, I get a nice little star motion going. I get this definitely good sense of motion. So if I move this control up and move it into position, Like maybe I can translate it down and do this type of thing. So it's kind of fitting for the foot. Like that. Now the pivot point's completely wrong. So we need to move the pivot point because it's still going to control, I'm holding down D and V. I'm just middle mouse dragging it. So it's still going to control that joint. But now when I rotate it, it's going to do this type of thing and move the whole foot with it. I'm actually going to keep this guy because we can use this for other systems. So before I move my pivot point, I can just duplicate this and move it over. And you'll notice that I can use it at our toe as well. So I just move it up here. And I can move it around so it's actually more pivot, it's more positioned right at the toe area. So I get that same type of motion when I move my foot up. Okay. And I can actually create another one. We need to create one for each one of those. So let's say I duplicate this. Rotate it up like that. Maybe out. And I can just snap it right in D and V and just snap it right onto that joint. That's not quite where I want it to be, but there it is. Okay, so we got those points, and I just need the inner and outer bank. I'll go and do a couple extra little design choices here. This one I'm going to create actually just a NURB circle and snap it to our outer bank. I want to make sure that those polygons don't get in the way. That. And you'll see one thing I can do with this. I can bring it up like 90 degrees and just scale it down. I got to bring back that geometry so I can see it easier. I can make sure that the control is encapsulating, like it was still way too big. And I could put this kind of like it's a piercing. So when I rotate this, it's going to rotate the whole foot around. I could put a little spoke or something like this. I can grab a CV here and a CV here and just kind of like translate them out. Maybe scale them in like this. So you could see it actually move up and whatnot. But I'm going to leave it as a circle. You can move the CVs around as much as you want and it'll be fine. I'm going to duplicate this and bring it over to the other side. There we go. Oops. Make sure it's right on that point. There it goes. And I could move it up and in a little bit so it represents geometry better and just snap that pivot point right back on. There we go. Okay. So at the end of the day, this is going to, we need to delete history, freeze transforms, and then we're going to call this our left. This is our outer bank, and this is icon. There we go, and this is our inner bank, left inner bank icon, and we got our toe. I think our heel is not named. I thought it was named. Okay. And they're all named, except for this one, which is our left ball icon. And I can grab all these and freeze them. And delete history. Do not center pivot because that would destroy what you're doing with your pivot points. But now I can look and check to make sure all our pivot points are on their correct location, and they are. Yes. Should be at our ankle, our knee. Make sure your knee pivot point is away from the knee, so when we set up our full vector, that it doesn't make the knee like explode. And that's pretty much our control icons, or just positioning them. And next we'll be actually getting and parenting together and connecting them into our RFL system.